What up chaps, I'm Magical Mike and I'm going to talk about the Clockwork Chaos patch. So let's start with the good stuff and move on from there. There's a new instance in the game which shows the Queen's speech, or part of it, which gets interrupted by Scarlet of course. She creates some chaos, hence the name of the patch, and Lord Farron displays some heroics, which is all really cool actually. I really enjoyed the small cutscenes in this bit.
Never fear, my queen! Lord Farron will save you! Well now, that I did not expect.
In fact, they were probably my favourite part of the whole patch, which kinda says something, doesn't it? Foreshadowing. So that was fun, and the dialogues between Bram and Rox were witty, but Scarlet's lines are... die, 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 isn't much of a script. However, the new enemies, the Twisted Nightmare things, are pretty sweet looking. I love how you can still clearly see the Watch Knight design in some of them, and you can see similarities to other creatures like Wind Riders and Minotaurs. The kind of freakish, corrupted metal / steampunk style of them really does stand out, and I kinda like it. In fact, I actually got one of the new enemies in miniature form too. I bought a set of those new minis. They released the Series 2 mini set, which I mostly don't like. I was just hoping to get lucky when I bought one. There's far too many similar minis in this set. I counted 3 or 4 Hylek, 3 or 4 Seraph, 3 or 4 Bandits and several Wolfborn, just to name a few. It's a shame that it seems like there's just a lack of variety in this set. And also I don't really like how they're ordered in the bank tab, and the A-net also managed to remove everybody's Watch Knight mini by accident, but that's kind of nitpicking at this point. Also reintroduced in this patch are the Zodiac weapons from Guild Wars 1, which, again, I'm disappointed with. I actually liked the Zodiac weapons in the original Guild Wars, and I had a few, and I loved how they looked with the rough textures and the glowing orbs in them. However, this version of them looks shiny, smooth, and the orbs aren't nearly as prominent. I don't like them, and I'm not entirely sure why they were included in this patch. And they cost the Black Lion tickets, which... I don't know. They're off my things. They're off my list of things to get, let's just say that. So back to the content, I should talk about the instances quickly. I missed a bunch of stuff in the first instance because I rushed to disarm the bombs, because the bombs, you gotta disarm them before they blow up, but there is no time limit. So I kind of saw the Hobotron get kidnapped, but not really, because it was interrupted when the story advanced, which was odd, and I can't repeat that, so hopefully I didn't miss anything really cool. The Funhouse instance was alright. As a solo player, it can pose some interesting fights, but on the whole it just takes some simple positioning and condition management to beat. In fact, you can avoid most of the enemies in there as well, which simplifies it even further. Scarlet pretty much uses attacks that we've seen before in the Aetherblade Retreat and in the Queen's Gauntlet, but she spams the hell out of Torment, which prevents you from moving around too much if you're not careful, and considering it involves a lot of positioning and movement, it seems kinda lame, sort of, but yeah, it's not the biggest gripe I have with this patch. The biggest gripe with this patch is the hype, for me. The story or lack thereof was a huge letdown. The last time I can remember them hyping something up like this by doing that kind of viral marketing with hidden messages and that sort of stuff was the Warring Kryta from Guild Wars 1. That update was amazing because of how they did it. The difficulty was up there, the delivery was well timed, and it felt impactful and everything like that. With Clockwork Chaos, they got the train rolling with the letter sent out to Guild Wars 2 Guru and the vandalism of the preview page. And then they fell totally flat. The main PvE content consists of entire maps being invaded by hordes and waves of enemies, which at first sounds amazing, but the reality is that you just run around the map in several giant zergs of players and kill stuff. It's essentially the most boring part of World v World translated into a PvE environment, and it feels spectacularly dull. A lot of people are saying that this content is great for farming and things like that, and I can see that, but at the same time I was making triple the amount of money by just doing Deadeye Dunwell before they introduced this part. So I'm not exactly unhappy with the nerf, I'm just not pleased with this replacement that we've got. I should also mention that you're forced to do several of these events to progress the story, which means, yes, good loot, again, but yet another piece of time-gated content. Alright, so the gameplay leaves a lot to be desired, but what about the aforementioned story that we thought would be great, or at least I thought would be promising? Well, there's no White Mantle, that's no big deal because I highly doubted it anyway, there was just a bit of hope there, but whatever. But there is a lot of little holes and paper-thin connections being made to the past Living Story releases that I'm not particularly happy with. The Molten Alliance decided to show up out of nowhere and we're just sort of expected to buy into it that Scarlet was behind that. There's no explanation, there's no big reveal, it's just, oh hey, Molten Alliance, go kill him, yay! There's also the steam creatures that appear with no context behind them, again. There's a bunch of speculation that we can do, sure, but why is nothing explained here? The lack of depth honestly surprised me this time. I was hoping that stuff would be explained, and it just isn't. It's just a giant zerg fest of loads of different enemies. I was just genuinely hoping for something more substantial with this story. The only interesting tidbit that I noticed was that Scarlet... We were told that Scarlet graduated from all the Azuran colleges and is some kind of genius. But so what? That's just a little bit of side, hey, look at this interesting bit of thing. It doesn't mean anything to us. You know? We'll have to see if there's another part to the Queen's speech that we haven't heard yet. Maybe the anniversary will alleviate this stuff a bit, but I'm not being particularly hopeful about that. There's also the PvE culling being turned off, and we all know how that's turned out, don't we? Well, I don't know what to say now. I kinda wanted this content to be good, and I got my hopes up, but they didn't really deliver for me. I feel like I had a lot more legitimate complaints to make while I was actually playing this stuff for the first time, but it's kind of all been lost in my head. It's been diluted by too many trains of thought, too many alternating paths and decisions that have led me to do this video. Actually, that's a little bit like the personal story, isn't it? Disjointed and not fully fleshed out, don't you think? And on that bombshell, toodaloo.